Welcome back to the channel. I'm back at Scotty's again. The new cartridge, the CHRA Central Housing Rotation Assembly, has arrived for the Navara Turbo. If you haven't seen the start and part one of this, have a look up here somewhere. We should be able to show you that video. That will give you an idea of what was wrong with this. I'm going to rebuild this today. I am continuing to do my best Captain Birdseye impression with my hat. Thank you, Scotty. So I'm going to start rebuilding this now, try and put some information up about what we're doing, and we can see how we get on with rebuilding it. The parts that have arrived are the CHRA, which is all built up. That's got the wastegate actuator lever built into it. It's got the turbine and the compressor on it, ready to go. It's sealed up, so it's not got anything in there. It's got the water and the oil ports all set. It's covered in grease to stop it going rusty, which is great. That looks like it's absolutely superb. And then we've got all the various gaskets. So we've got the hot side, exhaust side gaskets, and then we've got all the various ones for the compression side, as well as all the ones for the oil and water as well. And then we've also got these three, which are the three rollers that go inside the VNT ring to hold the activation and locking ring away from the bottom, and they get to float so they can activate the wastegate. So we've got a little bit of prep work to do before I do any more. Taking the VNT ring out, and there's three of these little standoffs. I've only got two there, but yeah, there are definitely three of those that sit in here and stand the VNT off so that the flaps underneath actually can reach. What I'm going to do is grind off a little bit around here, which looks like it might have been one of these old VNT rollers, which seems to have got itself tangled up and mangled into the side of the flange here. So I'm going to take that off with a Dremel and then sand it back with some paper, get that nice and smooth, and then I can put it all back together. Yeah. Yeah. So I've put the VNT ring back in. I'm going to put these T25 Torx bolts in. Standard spec for these is 15.9 Newton meters. Line this up. There's a hole in the inner ring, the ceiling, not the ceiling interface, where the control ring goes, and there's another hole in the side here. One of the pins of this lines up with the ring over there. This is fairly equal all round, so as long as one of these pins lines up with that, then that should be fine. And then the locking ring needs to line up with the hole over here, which is where the peg here goes in from the control arm for the wastegate. Going to put some thread lock on these as well, on these T25. They're M4, I think, T25 bolts. So put those in and we get those tightened up. Get this locking ring on, shall we? Control ring. Right, that's in the right place.
Give us a demo.
the sealing ring on now. We've got this notch lined up with the hole here, and then we need to line this up here with that notch as well. And that's it. Aha, that sounded good. Oh, I see. Need to adjust this wastegate end stop now. The adjustment of the end stop here is actually critically important, and the vanes shouldn't be completely closed in this application. It can cause overboost, but we'll cover that in a later video. I'm going to fit this wastegate actuator now over the top of there. There we go. And one there. Yeah, we'll put that. Tightening these up gradually. Let's give that a spin.
Oh, that sounds
the
perfect.
Sound of
silence.
Not squealy rattling. I like the sound of silence, I do indeed.
Who sung there?
The Sound of Silence?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, can't remember. There must be some sort of marker on it somewhere. Two sections of the case, particularly the compressor side, need to be aligned correctly. We should have made some marks before we actually took this apart.
Nice.
I gave the area around the turbo and where the oil had been leaking previously a bit of a clean before we reinstalled the turbo. It's a bit tricky getting past the aircon hose, but it's just a case of being patient and finding the right way to rotate everything. One to get to, definitely. The metal warp pipe assembly is held on with 2 bolts, as is the oil pipe assembly, and they're both a little tricky to get to. These both screw into the CHRA. 4 nuts and bolts with an extra 4 locking nuts hold the turbo on the exhaust manifold. The turbo is also supported by 3 nuts on the studs which fix the turbo to the downpipe. All of these joints have gaskets to prevent leakage of gases and liquids. 2 of those. That's gone in. Right, just because of how awful that end is on that tube. Here we go then, the moment of truth. I'm going to spin the engine a few times without allowing it to start so that oil gets pumped into the turbo. There is actually a fill port on the top, but the grub screw was too tight to get undone. Now I'll go the whole hog and try and start it.
And
exciting, but it's pliers now.
Zenga.
Dezenga?
Zenga.
Dezenga. No, not that way. That way. Right in. Pop pop that bugger in. Right then, here we go. Last night we got the Navara back together, so all the parts are back together. However, despite it running okay without a turbo, or at least with no power, making a horrible noise with the turbo attached, we found that it won't actually start. So we're now going to have a look and see if we can do some more diagnosis to try and figure it out. There's a number of different things it could be that were knock-on effects, and this was the general idea. Fix the turbo because it was definitely broken, and go through some of the other diagnostic steps when we get going. So we've got a few things to check. Going to check the fuel pressure and then check the EGR. There's also some tests we can do, and we'll put a link to some other videos as well with regard to some of the diagnosis that we've looked at. One of those is if there's a timing issue between the crankshaft and the camshaft. So going to have a look at that. We'll probably do some diagnostics if we get that far and we find that that is the problem. But I'm going to unplug the camshaft sensor, I'm going to look at the EGR and do some general cleaning. I'm also going to just try unplugging and plugging in some bits and pieces. But there don't seem to be any diagnostic trouble codes other than one to do with the steering at the moment. So I'm going to try and figure that out as well. I'll crack on now, see what we can find out. Scotty is off doing general day-to-day stuff while I'm working on this today, and then he'll be back a bit later and we should be able to get on and see if we can find out some more advanced diagnostics. Now, on the off chance it's something intermittent, I'm actually going to give it a start now, see if it does anything, and then I can keep rechecking it to see whether there's any codes logged. I'll also go through the ECU manual procedure to try and extract the codes out, as well as using the code reader, see if there's anything I've missed in there, and see what that comes up with. I'll show you how to go through that procedure. It's dead easy. Just involves pushing the pedals a load of times. It's called the pedal dance. I'll see if we can do that. Maybe reset the ECU as well. Now, it turns out one of the connectors that I cleaned and scrubbed the other day was actually this one all the way back here, which I've cleaned, but inside the cable, inside the shield, it's really, really dirty. So that's actually the camshaft position sensor. So I'm going to take that off, if I can, whatever that is, and see if it runs without that. It's super clean in that part. Very clean in there. Suspect that's nothing to do with it then. Now I've got a few other things I want to check. One of those is to go through the ECU reset, which is the manual ECU reset. So there's a process we can go through. I'm going to do that now, see if I can read the codes out that the vehicle thinks it's got by flashing those codes on the dashboard rather than using the computer, and then do the reset inside the computer just using the accelerator pedal. So the first thing to do, leave the car off, turned off for 10 seconds, ignition off, make sure there's nothing on the accelerator pedal. Then put the key in, turn it on for 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, then push the accelerator 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, then let go, count for 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then hold the accelerator for 10 seconds, 3, 4, 10, and then the light should start flashing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 3, 4, 0. We've got two codes there then, P0340 and P0581. Now if we take our foot off the accelerator and put it on for a further 10 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, Hopefully that should have now reset it. Still nothing. So the code's here, 0581, which is the steering wheel circuit for the switches, I think, which is to do with the cruise control, and 0340, both as per the lights, and that's the cam position sensor circuit. That was because it was still unplugged. So what I'm going to do now is try and monitor the RPM and the fuel pressure, just see whether we've got fuel pressure. The pipe going to the EGR valve is not too hard to get to. It's held on by 2 bolts. The EGR valve's closed here, so I'm giving it a quick clean to see what it looks like. Hopefully it might fix it. So, not sure whether you can hear, but it has absolutely started tipping it down. Luckily, I'm undercover, which is great. What I have discovered is, whilst there's no additional codes or anything, the EGR valve does look really, really dirty. If I disconnect the EGR pipe and try and start it up, it starts fine. As soon as I reconnect it, it doesn't. So I've been busy copying the EGR pipe gasket and turning it into a blanker. So I've now got a plate that I can temporarily put in to see whether everything will run, at least be a bit quieter with the pipe connected but blanked off. We can see how that works. I'm going to try that now. Just need to put a couple of holes in there on the top and the bottom to get that to be able to fit, and I can do that up and give it a try. This one blank, get that added in.
As you can hear, this is running with the EGR plate in now. We've done lots of pre-starting with no starts. And listen to the turbo, sounds like there's plenty of oil in there. A little bit hard to check, to be honest. It's going to need engine flush putting in it. What I'm going to do now is take it down off the ramps and have a proper look around it. There's a bit of turbo flutter from it at the moment. I want to see that it's got any power back. Just take it gentle, reverse it down, maybe try and drive it back up slowly, and just see how it behaves. The Navara's been for a bit of a test drive, only up and down the driveway, but there's still a few things that need to be sorted out with it. I'm not 100% confident with the way that the turbo's behaving at the moment. Seems like it's over boosting, which is not good. I think that might be something to do with the vanes on the VNT, the variable nozzle part of this. I think that needs some adjustment, so we're going to look at that. The EGR is not really doing what it's supposed to do, so we're going to have a look at that as well. And there's various other niggles with it, so we're hoping to make this a sort of 2 video series, but it looks like it's going to end up being 3. There are a few other bits and pieces that need to be done with this. So we're going to get those done. We'll see you in a new video.